Welcome back to Couch Critic with me, Dennis P, for what is your Chelsea match review, but more specifically, a tactical synopsis of Chelsea's performance against Bournemouth. But before I get into all of that, I know I haven't been making a lot of videos. I've been sick. I have relatives over, all sorts of things happening that are keeping me from being more consistent. And yeah, I just need you guys to help me get back on the algorithm by hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, hit the bell notification button. Again, we're just trying to reattach to the algorithm, get that content out to you guys as quickly as we can. But without further ado, let's get right into the review. Okay, honestly, guys, to keep it simple and plain, this is not going to be a long video. We're going to be analyzing Chelsea's attack, as the title says. We're going to be looking at the areas in that Bournemouth game that impeded Chelsea from having any sort of like positivity in the attack. We're going to be looking at breakdowns in their build-up. We're going to be looking at like missed opportunities in the game plan. Obviously, Chelsea were looking to go back post throughout the game. We're going to be analyzing that movement. We're just going to be looking at the overall quality on the ball as well. All of these things were massive issues against Bournemouth. And again, like one of the things that I think Chelsea have, made part of their hallmark when they're playing against lower level teams is they just don't rise to the occasion. They do not find a way to find their football. And for a multitude of reasons that, I don't care to list here, but for the most part, when you see Chelsea play against lower level opponents, they usually just play to their level. And this example against Bournemouth was, again, an example of that just not coming out of the gates quickly enough to match the intensity of the match. And again, just having a blunted attack. And this is exactly what I mean when I say Chelsea had a blunted attack against Bournemouth. I'm going to illustrate that perfectly. We're going to start with that, to be honest. And here it is right here. Chelsea with a plethora of opportunities to get out and play football. And with every one of those opportunities, the pass is either wayward and taking the receiver away from where they wanted to be, or it's just right into the defenders. And this is what I mean by blunted. Like a sharp, crisp attack is one where all the passes are right into the receiver, into the socket. They're either running onto it or receiving it in a good area. And in this game, Chelsea were just wayward with way too many of their passes, balls getting caught under their feet, opportunities where they could, exploit spaces where they're just mishandling passes and putting them into areas where the receiver can't get it. Now, the difference to me between a blunted attack and a razor sharp attack is very simple. It's direct. It's looking to be precise with its passing, putting it right into the socket of the receiver. There's a great continuity in the attacking sequence. You're not seeing receivers having to chase the ball 5 to 10 yards to catch up with it. It's really right in line with what they want to do. And, you see that oftentimes when you see a team like Man City play. You never see wayward passes chasing the receiver, 5-10 yards one way or the other. And this game against Bournemouth was a perfect example of what a blunted attack was. They're having to chase after the ball, and when you're chasing after it, it just forces the receiver to blunt the attack because they're not looking at the most direct route to goal anymore. They're having to take a more rounded look to get into the scoring areas. And Chelsea just did this way too many times where we're trying to get into these dangerous areas, and the most direct pass to get us right into the teeth of the defense is taking us, 5-10 yards away from the attack. And as a result, the move slows down, defenders get back into position, and Chelsea are left with, 4 or 5 defenders in situations where they had maybe numbers, maybe 3v3, 3v2 opportunities. The bottom line for me is quite simple. Chelsea have to do a better job of keeping the ball. And when they have the ball in possession, when they're looking to get to the spear of their attack, they have to be more precise with their passes. They have to be able to punch it in with accuracy and not, divert the receiver of the ball to an alternative route to get to it. A sharp attack is one that is very, very direct. And for some reason or other, Chelsea just looked either jaded or just not really sharp in their execution today. And it hurt us mightily when we got into good areas. It was like the final ball that was letting us down. When we had numbers on the break, it was decision making and just poor execution that broke down too often. And if we want to be at the top end of the Premier League table, we just can't have that happen. Now, the next thing we want to kind of analyze is what Chelsea's game plan was against Bournemouth. And it was clear to me time and time again, Chelsea were looking to attack the back post. They were looking for runners to overload that back post. And on sight, on more than a few occasions, when Cole Palmer got on the ball centrally, Chelsea were looking to attack the back post. The thing that was missing here was just a recognition from Cole. Like, I think the instruction from Maresca and, passed on to the rest of the staff was, when you see Cole Palmer get central and he's in the ball, he has the ball in space, you're looking for runners off the ball coming from the left, the likes of Cucurella, the likes of Garnacho, whoever it may be, Delap at times, coming in from the left to attack that back post. And there are a few opportunities here that I'm going to highlight that you look and you see the runners making those runs on sight. Like I said, as soon as Cole Palmer gets the ball, they're looking to do it. Not just him, but also Enzo Fernandez as well. And the opportunities are just not recognized in time. And with a team that's playing as deep as Bournemouth were when they're in their their first phase, the final phase for Chelsea, if you fail to recognize those situations when they're on, it only takes a split second for it to be gone because of the way that Bournemouth were defending. There wasn't really a whole lot of room in behind for Chelsea to play those balls over the top. And it's really like you're toting the line between being offside or, just the move breaking down when, you dwell on the ball for that half second instead of realizing as soon as they bend the run, they have to get that ball over the top or else the move's dead. And it just happened too many times for Chelsea. Just poor recognition and poor execution. I mean, overall, the quality on the ball from Neto was exceptional for the entire game. I mean, he dwelled on it a little bit too much, and you wanted to see him take on his man a little bit more, get to the byline and whipping across. But his overall delivery was quite good. Most of the opportunities that Chelsea did create towards the goal were off of Pedro Neto swinging in those crosses to the back post. So it was clear to me that was the game plan. We were looking to, hurt Bournemouth with swings to the back post. We obviously identified that as a weak spot for them, and the moves were breaking down through the lack of recognition. And when we did recognize when they wore there, we just did not finish. I speak to, of course, the Garnacho opportunity where he hits the post, and of course the one opportunities where we found Cucurella in the space over the header and he just didn't put it on target. But these were opportunities that were presented through the delivery of Neto and just were not taken. And you just can't have that in games where it's tight. The teams are defending well. You don't have a lot of opportunities to really impact the game unless it is with a moment of genius. And for me, Chelsea did do a good job of getting guys like Cole Palmer and Enzo Fernandez into space, whether it was through turnover or through build-up. But when they got on the ball, they just weren't very good at identifying those situations where Chelsea could really hurt Bournemouth. Now, the last thing we absolutely have to have is better decision-making in those key areas. And man, I'm gonna give Cole Palmer a bye just because it's like he's just come back from injury. The game is coming at him pretty fast. He's not really quite adjusted to it as yet. So we're gonna give him a couple of games to get up to speed. But the one person that I'm not gonna excuse for these things, decision making, the person who provides us with the bullets in the final third is Enzo Fernandez. He has to be better. He has to be better on the ball. He has to be better at recognizing situations where Chelsea have numbers on the break and what the better options are in those situations. And he has to just take those opportunities. Like, we don't pay Enzo Fernandez, $120K a week or whatever it may be to be taking shots 40 yards out when Chelsea are searching for a goal and have numbers on the break. That's just poor. His quality is such that we need to see it. Every time he gets those touches, he has to be more precise with it. It's not about always, finding the foot of the receiver, just putting it in the path of the receiver where it's not breaking the continuity of the attack. And too often times where we're on the break and Enzo's, running, advancing the ball forward, we're seeing the attack break down because he's not finding that angle to play the ball in for receivers. And again, even if it only happens 2 or 3 times a game, it's 2 or 3 times too many for a guy that has his quality. And this is the problem I have with him, and also João Pedro, who seems to be, just falling over in build-up stages, dwelling on the ball too long in the number 10 position where you want him to just release the ball into space and get guys galloping forward. He's just dwelling on the ball too long and then turning it over. And this is the type of quality that we cannot have in our number 10s. We need them to be more precise. We need them to be our most decisive players in our build-up phase. And right now, the reason why Chelsea's attack is so blunt is because the likes of João Pedro, the likes of, Enzo Fernandez and Cole Palmer are just not showing their true quality on the ball. And decisions that used to be like innate to them, like split-second decisions, are taking too long, and then as a result, the defense is getting back into position, or the passes are wayward, or the opportunities off the ball when players are making those runs, they're just not being recognized. So for me, everything is predicated on the play of our number 10s. If they're playing a style of football that's not conducive to cutting through teams and playing a little bit more direct in behind, then Chelsea are going to struggle, and that's exactly what we saw against Bournemouth today. But as I said, I do think we're going to wrap it up there. Not too long. We're not going to dwell on this too much, because I do think it's really just about Chelsea just getting back to their best, and you do that by, just playing with a little bit more pace, a little bit more endeavor in the final third, being a little bit more switched on. Maybe, Cole Palmer getting up to speed will help Chelsea, pierce through teams a little bit more readily. But yeah, it's just overall quality in those number 10 positions that we need to see more of. But yeah, as I said, we're not going to dwell on that. I think that Chelsea, obviously, they lost the lap now for a long term. I think about 6 to 8 weeks is going to be out, which will again hurt our attacking sequences. We saw Guiu come in his stead, and you just immediately see that the quality is just not there. He just doesn't provide you with what you want to do in link up and build up play. But I don't have no doubt that we're going to see João Pedro play striker again, with Cole Palmer and Enzo providing him the bullets, and hopefully we can have a little bit more continuity in our attacking sequences with those three on the ball. But as of right now, we're just not seeing it. We got Atalanta in the midweek. It's a Champions League game. I think both teams are on 10 points, so it's a vital performance. Chelsea are going to have to take all 3 points in this one if they want to finish in the top 8. And, we're going to have to see more quality in our build-up phase. I think defensively, as long as we have Fofana on the pitch, I think we'll be all right. Obviously, Caicedo will be involved in this game because it's not a Premier League match, so we will see a little bit more solidity in the middle as well. But until then, you guys know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high and up for Chelsea. Peace.